Do you know that the throne of the world's most just king, Vikramaditya, is still so mysterious that everyone who tries to sit on it experiences something unusual? Once King Bhoj decided to get it, but what happened was something that no one had imagined. The story begins from there, where the series of adventure and mystery begins. Do you want to know how King Bhoj and the ghost encountered each other? So let's start the story. It was nighttime, a time when silence was spread in every corner, and only the sound of the wind was heard. It was dark. Cold wind was blowing, which was making everything even more scary. It seemed as if some invisible power was making this night even more mysterious. Doors and windows were trembling with the gusts of wind. The walls of the palace were also trembling in front of this cold wind, as if an old story was coming alive again. Inside the palace, King Bhoj was sitting near the fire. Lines of worry were clearly visible on his face, as if he was lost in some deep thought. There was worry on his face. He was looking at the flames again and again, as if he was searching for something in those flames. An old story was going around in his mind, a story that he had heard in his childhood, and which was now coming alive in front of him. The story of a mysterious throne. This throne was not just a throne, but a symbol of an amazing power. This throne was not just a throne, it was a symbol of power and knowledge, and many stories were prevalent about it. It was a symbol of power and knowledge. It was said that whoever sat on this throne would get amazing powers. It was said that this throne belonged to King Vikramaditya, a great and just king, whose stories are still alive in the hearts of people. A great and just king. Stories of his love for justice and valor still resonate among the people. But it was also said that the throne was cursed. Anyone who tries to touch it will have to suffer terrible consequences. Anyone who tries to touch it will have to suffer terrible consequences. This curse was so terrible that people were afraid to even go near this throne. There was a strange silence in the corridors of the palace. A mystery was hidden in every corner, and a new story was heard at every step. King Bhoj had read about this throne in many old manuscripts and books. He knew that a deep mystery was hidden behind this throne. He had studied these manuscripts by staying awake many nights. He wanted to solve this mystery, but he was afraid that he too might become a victim of this curse. It was morning time. Light had started spreading in the corridors of the palace, but Raja Bhoj's worries had still not reduced. He was looking at the throne, and many questions were arising in his mind. Will he be able to solve this mystery? Will he be able to face this cursed throne? The rays of the sun had started spreading outside the palace, but a mystery was still hidden inside the palace. A mystery that was unsolved for centuries. Raja Bhoj was determined that he would solve this mystery, no matter what challenge he had to face for this. Suddenly the door opened. A stranger came in. His clothes were torn and his face was covered. But there was a strange gleam in his eyes. "Maharaj, I have information about a mysterious treasure." "The story of a treasure that has been hidden for centuries. Which treasure are you talking about?" "The throne of King Vikramaditya, Maharaj." The next morning, King Bhoj gathered his bravest soldiers. It was a day that will always be remembered in history. King Bhoj had decided to send his soldiers on an important mission. A mission that could determine the future of his empire. Along with them was the stranger who was going to take them to the throne. This stranger was a mysterious person, about whom very few people knew. There was a strange gleam in his eyes, and he had a map that no one had ever seen before. Their journey was long and dangerous. There were many challenges on the way, which were not easy to face. The soldiers had to show their bravery and patience at every step. A new challenge awaited them at every turn. They had to pass through dense forests, high mountains, and desert areas. Every area had its own unique characteristics. There were difficulties. There was fear of wild animals in the jungle. Cold and snow had to be faced in the mountains, and lack of water was a big problem in the desert. On the way, They had to face many wild animals. Lions, tigers, and other dangerous animals were coming their way. But Raja Bhoj and his soldiers were fearless. They kept moving forward without any fear. But Raja Bhoj and his soldiers were fearless. They kept moving forward. They had only one goal in their eyes: to reach the throne. Their courage and determination gave them the strength to overcome every difficulty. This journey was a test for them, and they were fully prepared to succeed in this test. After many days of travel, they reached a deserted place. There was an ancient temple here. The temple was in ruins, but its beauty was still intact. The throne is buried under this temple, King Bhoj understood. This is the same place where the throne is hidden. There were strange drawings on the slab. Finally, they saw something under the ground. It was a large stone slab. The soldiers worked day and night. King Bhoj ordered his soldiers to dig the temple. The soldiers put in all their strength and removed the slab. There was a basement under the slab. It was dark in the basement. King Bhoj lit a torch and went inside. His soldiers were also following him. A throne was placed in the middle of the basement. The throne was made of gold. It was studded with diamonds and jewels. King Bhoj slowly went near the throne. His eyes were fixed on the throne. He extended his hand to touch the throne. But then, he felt something strange, as if someone was stopping him. He was unable to move. His body had become frozen. Suddenly, the statue sitting on the throne moved. The statue came to life. It was the statue of an old man. There was anger on his face. There was a gleam in his eyes. "Who are you to dare to touch my throne?" the statue roared. Raja Bhoj understood. It was not just a statue. It was the protector of the throne. "I am Raja Bhoj," the king replied. There was confidence in his voice, as if he was making his authority clear. This was no ordinary declaration, but a determination that was clearly visible on his face. "I have come here to acquire this throne. This throne, which has been deserted for years, will now be in my possession." There was a gleam in Raja Bhoj's eyes, which reflected his determination. "This throne is not for you," the protector said sternly. There was a strange coldness in his voice, as if he already knew that Raja Bhoj would fail. "It will be given only to the one who will pass my test." There was a challenge in his eyes, as if he wanted to test the ability of Raja Bhoj. "Who will pass my test?" This was not an ordinary test, but a challenge that would test the patience and courage of Raja Bhoj. "What kind of test?" Raja Bhoj asked. There was curiosity in his voice, but also a strange fear. He wanted to know what kind of challenge he would have to face. The protector smiled. There was a strange coldness in his smile, as if he already knew that Raja Bhoj would fail. A cold and terrifying smile. This smile was creating a strange fear in the heart of Raja Bhoj. "I will tell you 3 stories. After every story, you have to answer me. If you succeed, the throne will be yours." There was a strange seriousness in the guard's voice, as if he was fully prepared to test Raja Bhoj. "You have to answer me. If you succeed, the throne will be yours." Raja Bhoj listened carefully. There was a strange gleam in his eyes, as if he was fully prepared to accept this challenge. "But if you fail..." The guard left his words incomplete, but there was a strange gleam in his eyes, as if he already knew that Raja Bhoj would fail. The guard left his words incomplete. There was a strange gleam in his eyes, as if he already knew that Raja Bhoj would fail. But Raja Bhoj understood. There was a strange gleam in his eyes, as if he was fully prepared to accept this challenge. Failure would mean death. This was no ordinary challenge, but a test that would test Raja Bhoj's patience and courage. "I am ready," said Raja Bhoj. His voice was calm, but there was fear in his mind, very deep fear. This fear was clearly visible on his face, but he tried to hide it. But there was fear in his mind, very deep fear. This fear was clearly visible on his face, but he tried to hide it. Raja Bhoj knew that this challenge would be the biggest test of his life, but he was fully prepared to accept it.